Hello and welcome to the interview on France 24. Our guest today is Michel-Olivier Lacharité, who is the head of programs for Doctors Without Borders in Mali, Niger, Chad and Somalia. Welcome to the program. Thanks for being with us. You've been talking about the peak of malnutrition which is approaching in these African countries that you're working in. Just give us a snapshot of what's happening there.
We are currently entering into this peak of malnutrition. That means we have a high number of children dropping into this state of malnutrition. This situation is explained by structural factors and conjunctural ones. So we have a problem of access or general access to food, and we have a problem, or the children has a problem of access to quality of food. So if we talk about quality, we're talking about food with milk product inside. So no one will think to feed the children with meat or with fries. So we're talking about children from 6 months to 24 months. So we need adapted food for them.
So you're saying there's not enough milk products?
I'm saying that the food that they have generally access is not enough, and aside that, the quality of this food is not sufficient or adapted to them.
Right. Let's home in on one country in particular. We've been talking about Mali a lot in our news programs because of the takeover of the north by Ansar Dine and related groups. I notice on your operations chart that you are still present in Mali, in Timbuktu. This is despite Ansar Dine.
Exactly. So since January of this year, we initiate some activities to provide access to healthcare and to wounds, if there is any in the north, both in the Kidal and Timbuktu region. And now we are focusing in Timbuktu region, so in the hospital of Timbuktu city, and in some district around of the capital of the region.
But I noticed that you're absent in most of Malian territory, and the largest number of Malian refugees are still inside Mali. They're internally displaced people in northern Mali. So, I mean, it's presumably very limited what you can do.
You're right. We try to coordinate with the other NGO working in the Mali, and if we look at this crisis, there is a lot of refugees as well in Mauritania, Niger, Burkina, where we bring our support and healthcare to the refugee population. But of course, our capacity of movement and to deploy activity is limited at the moment.
Do you have any figures for how many children have died of malnutrition as a result of the upheavals in northern Mali in the last few months?
We have to notice, as the UNICEF is saying, that 87% of the children suffering from malnutrition are in the south of the country. This region is very wide, but there is a low population up north of the Mali. And if we look at the Mali in terms of malnutrition, the situation is very more acute in the south, where we have, for instance, in Koutiala, an hospital with 10,000 hospitalizations per year. So if you compare the two situations, the north is very worrying in terms of politics and what is going on. Nevertheless, in terms of pediatrics, the situation is way more acute in the south of the country.
Let me ask you about your means to change the situation. I mean, we've seen that you're active right across the Sahel, but at the same time you rely, Doctors Without Borders France relies massively on private donors. Now, how are you managing to keep money coming in when we face this economic situation in Europe?
Mm-hmm. So since the last year, so private donors, this is you and me giving money to MSF. Yeah.
Right.
So
private individuals,
exactly,
taxpayers.
Exactly. And this gives us a good capacity to intervene in different countries and to be capable to initiate some activity before the donors are giving us or we request the money from the donors.
Have you seen any decline, though, in the interest of private individuals?
So recently we can see this decline. So we are obliged to do operational choice and to decide where we want to focus our activity. At the moment, we try to forecast the next couple of years. We hope that the generosity of the people will continue to channel their money to MSF, to Doctors Without Borders, but we never know. And this is, we don't know. It's always, we are capable to forecast and we have some capacity to forecast, but it's always very fragile.
Could it become very acute that you really have to scale back operations quite dramatically if there's a decline that continues in the Sahel?
Yeah, when we try to forecast our program for the coming years, we always allow some funds to emergency and some for routine project. At this moment, we have been capable to respond to our different objectives. So according to the last year, if at one point we are not capable to respond to emergency or to crisis, we will be obliged to probably shorten or reduce some activity.
Do you think government funding is an option then, or would that create too many problems for perceptions of Doctors Without Borders in this region, which is essentially France's ex-colonial playground?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we try to be very sensitive to whom we get the money, but all the institutional donor, I mean, they are not devil. Huh? So some they have, of course, their political agenda, and we have to be aware of this political agenda. Sometimes these agenda are the same. If we look for the nutrition, for instance, sometimes we can make allies within them. So we just have to make sure that in some circumstances, we try to keep away from the people who we are not sharing their agenda.
Any of these countries, Mali, Niger, Chad, have you faced any political problems, any perception that somehow Doctors Without Borders shared the French official agenda, even though up until now you haven't taken money, mostly, from the French government? Has that ever been an issue?
So we don't take any money from the French government, so even not in Mali, but everywhere. This is one of our current policy at the moment. I think that the people perception is very different from the people who are treating on the field and local authorities and long-distance authority. So we have to deal and discuss with everyone. We are welcome at the moment, both in North Mali, in South Mali. We have a very good collaboration, but at any moment, we don't know what might happen about this perception. So we try to focus on the quality of care. And we believe that if this quality is maintained, the population will accept the work we are doing.
Despite that, Michel-Olivier, you do have a public relations problem, don't you? Because we've already said right at the start of this program, there's an annual peak of malnutrition. So when there's a huge event like the tsunami or Haiti, the earthquake, people rush in with their donations. When it's an annual event that malnutrition peaks, it's hard to sell the need to keep being involved. I mean, do you sense any kind of donor fatigue?
I think so. I think that the people might not understand why every year we have this same situation. This is the current message we are passing at this moment. We are capable to have a 1 million child treated this year. So this is a success. But at the same time, it's a pity because maybe we'll have to do this, not us, but all the NGO, UN agencies and government have this same situation in the next year. So what we look at, there is solution, milk-based or adapted food for the children to avoid year after year to have a humanitarian response to this type of crisis.
This is a long-term solution that you're advocating to get away from an emergency response every time. But do the countries involved have to do a lot more to provide this? I mean, have you been vocal enough in pressuring them to provide this kind of long-term solution?
Yeah, I think this is a work in progress. If we look what was the situation in 2005, only 75,000 children were treated in 2005. Now we are reaching the million. So this is one of the good news. Secondly, this is a work in progress. So now we have this load of children that we have every year, and now we have as well the product. So we need at this very moment to do the political choice to change or to make a shift paradigm to, okay, we will not wait anymore that the child are sick to treat them and try to provide them the adapted food all the year long, especially for the more vulnerable, so the youngest one at 6 months to 24 months.
Paradigm shift, but again, where's that going to come from? Because these countries' governments know that you're not going to just abandon them. So you have limited leverage, presumably. They can wait for you to do something every time at this time of year.
Yeah, they can, but they can see what is the cost of this mobilization. What we are pointing is, okay, we need to focus on the early response. And even with the 1 million, we know that we leave some people apart.
Other children still left behind, yeah.
Exactly.
We'll have to end it there. Thank you very much for coming on. Michel Olivier La Charité, Head of Programs for Doctors Without Borders in Mali, Niger, Chad and Somalia. And that's all for this edition of The Interview on France 24.
Thank you.